Hey guys, in this video I'm going to teach you how to smoke a turkey in a Masterbuilt Electric Smoker. And we're going to talk about one of the big problems that people have when they smoke turkey, which is they smoke it and it comes out of the smoker with skin that's rubbery and gross. It's not crispy. I'm going to talk a little bit about why that happens and how to solve the problem. Stay tuned. I picked up this turkey for about $20 the other day at the grocery store, and that's a really good deal because this is a 17-pound turkey. The reason I got it so cheap is because it was right after Thanksgiving, and it looks like it's missing some skin. It's been beat up a little bit, it's missing a wingtip, but it's still got most of the skin, and it's a pretty good looking turkey. I love deals, so I'm not sad about buying this turkey. It's a good looking bird, so I'm gonna roll with it. If you've watched my other videos where I cook turkey, you'll know that I'm a big fan of spatchcocking or butterflying the turkey, because it creates a lower profile for the turkey and allows the meat to cook more evenly. Every time I've done it with that method, I've had just the juiciest bird with the crispiest skin ever. So I'm gonna continue to cook via that method. The other reason that we want to spatchcock the turkey is because in the Masterbuilt Electric Smoker, there's not a lot of room in there. So I'm gonna be using 2 racks and I'm gonna stack each half of the bird on top of each other, and then I'll probably rotate it halfway through. So let's get started and spatchcock this bird. So to spatchcock a turkey, all you gotta do is turn it over onto the breast so that the back is exposed. And then you're gonna wanna get some pretty sharp garden shears, or if you have some, get some aviation snips because they're really powerful and sharp. But I'm gonna use these garden shears right now, and I'm going to just cut right at the shoulder here and just cut the spine out. So we're just cutting all those bones, and we're moving along the back of the spine. All right, that's one side done, so we're gonna do the other side now, and then we'll be done. Don't tell my wife I'm using these garden shears, by the way. I don't think she watches my videos anyway, but just in case, don't let her know. All right, there we go. So we have the spine removed now, and we're gonna throw this into the stock pot with the rest of the giblets and all the other stuff on the bird that we're not eating, and we'll make some stock with it or some gravy. So I'm gonna put this aside and I'll use it for later. And now we're gonna come back to our turkey and we're gonna flip it over again. So flip it over so that it's on where its back used to be, breast side up. And this is the fun part. So you wanna lay it as flat as possible, and then you want to press on the breastbone until you hear a snap. There we go. So now it's nice and flat. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut down the breastbone, the center, so that I can split the turkey into 2, because I'm going to line one tray in the Masterbuilt Electric Smoker with one side, and then I'll have the other side below it, because there's not a lot of room in my 30-inch Masterbuilt. You might have more room in the 40-inch Masterbuilt if you have one of those, but this is what I'm working with right now. So I'm gonna cut this in half now. So now the turkey is split in half, and we're gonna talk about what you can do at the beginning and the end of the cook to make sure you get really crispy skin. A big problem people have when they smoke a turkey or chicken is that they're cooking it at a very low temperature in the smoker at around 250 degrees Fahrenheit. You can't typically get the temperature higher than that, especially in a Masterbuilt Electric Smoker. So the result is skin from chicken or turkey that's really rubbery, and you'll take a bite into it and all of the skin will come off into your mouth and it'll be really chewy and just a bad experience. So in order to get crispy skin in the Masterbuilt Electric, we're gonna take some prep steps. So the first step is to pat dry the skin and get as much moisture out of it as possible. So pat it dry, and then leave it for maybe 30 minutes just to get some air drying action and get the skin as dry as possible. Then we're gonna want to add some fat to the outside of the skin. The fat is gonna help the skin crisp up. So I like to use oil because it has no moisture content in it. Butter has water in it. It's got about 20% water content. So we don't want any moisture at all, so I'm going to use some olive oil. I'm gonna put some salt on it just to suck up some more moisture, and then I'm gonna put some organic dried sage on the outside. So basically just salt and some sage, and that's it. Just really basic spices. So let's get started on that preparation right now. So I'm going to pat the skin dry now with this nice microfiber cloth. Again, don't tell my wife that I'm using this. Okay, now I'm gonna blast it with some salt. Just gonna take some kosher salt. Boom, boom. And then I'm going to take some oil and just slather it all over the skin so it's got good coverage. You don't need a ton, but you want to get a good amount. So we'll make sure we get all that oil into the skin. All right, that should be good. And now we're just gonna add some organic sage to the outside of the chicken, just for a bit of flavor. All right, I'm gonna rub that in. And now what I'm gonna do is, earlier I mentioned that this turkey was a bit damaged. It doesn't have any skin on the breast area here. So there's a bunch of extra neck skin that's left over. So I'm gonna cut that off and I'm going to reuse it on those patches where there's no skin. And the theory is that it's going to protect the meat from the heat of the smoker and it's going to allow it to cook more evenly. So I'll just lay that on top. Right there and there. Great. So this turkey is now ready to go into the Masterbuilt Electric Smoker. As I said before, I'm going to put one side on each rack and I'm going to stack them on top of each other and I'll switch them over halfway through. I'm going to switch the smoker to 270 degrees Fahrenheit, as high as I can get it, and then I'm going to cook it for about 5 hours and I'm going to check the temperature. When the temperature reaches approximately 140 degrees Fahrenheit, we're gonna wanna take it out of the smoker because we're gonna put it in the oven at around 400 degrees Fahrenheit to finish off the cook. And the oven is going to have the high temperature heat that's going to crisp up the skin and prevent the skin from being all rubbery and gross. So I'm gonna put this in the smoker now, so stay tuned. Hey guys, so this bird is now cooked, and I just want to recap what I did because I adapted during the actual cook and I actually switched some things up. I wanted to test whether taking the turkey out of the smoker and putting it in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit when the turkey was around 140 degrees Fahrenheit would result in crispier skin. So I did an experiment and I took half the turkey out and I left the other half in. So on my left here, this is where the turkey is that I took out when it reached 140 degrees Fahrenheit internal temperature, and I put it into an oven that was set to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So I left that in until it cooked up to the right temperature, which is 165 degrees Fahrenheit in the thigh and in the breast. And it looked like it did actually result in a lot crispier skin. So the skin is darker, it's more brown, it's a little black in areas, but it's a lot crispier. This side I left in the smoker until it reached 165 degrees Fahrenheit internal temperature, and it looks like the skin is a little bit rubbery. You can actually see here that when I press on it, it has some bounce coming off, whereas this doesn't have much bounce, it's pretty rigid. So I'm going to cut into this now and I'm going to test each piece. So I'll test the crispy skin one first. So you can hear how crispy the skin is on this. It looks really good. And I'm going to just take a piece of skin here and cut it. Whoa, it's juicy. I'll cut into just the breast here and take a slice out. All right. It's pretty good. It's good, it's juicy, but it's not as moist as I typically like it. And maybe that's because I put it in the oven at 400. So I'm gonna test the skin now. That's good turkey skin. And you can definitely taste the smokiness as well, which is great. So I'm gonna turn my attention to this side now. And this is the side that I left in the smoker for a long time. So I'm gonna cut into it, and I can see right off the bat that the skin is a lot more rubbery than the other side. So if I cut into the skin here where it reaches the thigh, you can kind of see that the skin is a lot more rubbery, and when I'm rubbing the knife against it, you can almost hear like a rubbery squeaky noise. So I'm going to lift a piece of that skin up, just test it. And it's even hard to cut the skin off the turkey. Really rubbery. Like, it's rubbery enough that I almost want to spit it out. It's not very good. Ooh. So then I'll cut into this and see how the breast meat turned out. So the breast meat looks really, really juicy. No complaints there. Actually, I can see quite a bit of water coming out of it, which is great. I'll just test this out. This is good. So it's interesting, the meat turned out better when I left it in the smoker for longer. It turned out juicier, but the skin was rubbery and almost inedible. So if you want to fully cook a turkey in a Masterbuilt Electric Smoker, I would recommend you just take the skin right off after it's cooked and don't even eat it at all. Don't serve it to your family. If you want crispier skin, then take out the bird when it's about 140 degrees Fahrenheit and then put it into the oven until it reaches an internal temperature of 165. I think the problem here, the skin turned out perfect, but I left it in until it was like 175 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the old FDA standard for temperature, but it results in way overcooked turkey. So next time I'm gonna have more temperature control, and I think this version would be superior to this version. So I think the experiment was a success, and I think this is definitely the way to cook a turkey in the Masterbuilt Electric Smoker. Definitely finish it off at 400 degrees Fahrenheit in the oven. The other thing that I learned is it's important to take out the drip pan or the water tray in the Masterbuilt Electric Smoker about halfway through your cook. So maybe when you flip the racks and put one bird on top of the other so that it's reversed, then take the water pan out and dump that, because it reduces the internal temperature of the Masterbuilt Electric Smoker and it results in way longer cook times. I used cherry wood for this, and it's a really light smoky flavor. I think hickory or even mesquite would be way too overpowering, so I'd recommend probably apple or cherry for something like this. And it's really subdued, but you can really taste the smokiness, but it's not too overpowering. So overall, this was great. Thank you guys very much for joining me. Really enjoyed it. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button, and I hope you have luck smoking your own turkey at home. Thanks a lot. See you on the trail.